Welcome to Polyglot Podcast. I'm Christian, and today we have John from Australia telling about the Hazaras and the Hazaragi language today. So, welcome, John.
Greetings. Hello, good to be here. I'm delighted to come and have a talk a little bit about my mother tongue language, which is Hazaragi. So I'd love to have a discussion with you.
Yeah. So, first of all, you can maybe introduce yourself, like where are you now, and how did you end up in Australia?
Yeah, sure. So my name is John Gulzari. I was born and raised in Hazaristan, which is a central region of Afghanistan. It's also known as Hazarajat as well. Yep, I migrated from Hazaristan in 1999 when the first time Taliban took over the country. Escaped the persecution as thousands upon thousands of people been killed, genocide, and exterminated. So yeah, I seek refuge here in Australia in 1999 when I was a teenager, like 17, 18. Yeah, so now I've been in Australia for over 22 years. So since 1999. Yep, and now I'm living here in Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah. How did you arrive? Like, what was the route?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I gone across the border to Pakistan from Afghanistan with the help of people smugglers. Then they create me documents and passport and things like that, and I travel from there to Indonesia. From Indonesia, I traveled by boat to Australia in the hands of people smugglers. The journey was very hard, uh, treacherous, and very scary. Was very unknown journey, and we didn't have any life vest or communication device such as mobile phone or GPS or something like that. So it was quite scary and very dangerous journey.
So from Pakistan, you took the plane to Indonesia.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, and then by boat, how many days was it from Indonesia to Australia?
Yeah, sure. So it took like nearly 2 weeks, 12 nights and days for us to come by fishing boat.
Oh,
And sea was very rough as well.
yeah.
And after a week of journey, because the boat was going very slow, like 5 km per hour, 5 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
So it was very, and after a week, we caught one night at the current at the reef, and it was flooding everywhere, and typhoon was there, and we nearly drowned at the sea because it was so scary. And yeah, luckily I just survived that ordeal. And then I ended up in Australia, and then they put us in a camp for a few months in detention center. And after that, yeah, when my case was assessed, I got a temporary visa, first of all, and then later on I got a permanent visa. Now I am Australian citizen. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you've been living in Melbourne the whole time.
Yeah, mostly I've been living in Melbourne for over 22 years, and yeah, finished my master's degree and running as business coach and mentor, and I have initiated several businesses and been active in community and been outspoken for human rights and civil rights and liberty and active in politics and so on.
Yeah. Maybe you can tell something about like Afghanistan, the different ethnic groups, and like the power struggles between
Yeah, sure.
different groups there.
Yeah, there are 4 major ethnicities. So Hazara, Pashtun, Tajik, and Uzbek. So there are 4 majority nationalities in Afghanistan. But there are minorities as well, such as Syed, Nuristani, Baloch, and many other nationalities as well. Hazara is one of the second largest, if we can say, if there's like, among the 4 major ethnicities of this that Hazara, Uzbek, Tajik, and Pashtuns. There are 4 major ethnicities. So they are like share like 22% or 25% each, or maybe you can say 23% each, and the rest of them are minorities. Before 1890, I mean, century and a half ago, Hazaras were independent by themselves, and they're a southern nation. That's why they are known collectively as Hazaristan. You know, the prefix of words Istan is about the country, about the homeland. That's why it's known as Hazaristan. And yeah, the population of Afghanistan before 19th century was the population of Hazaras were like, over 67%. But Hazaras were sort of genocide, and there was a couple of famous books that's written by Faiz Muhammad Khatib, which says that Hazaras, 62% of Hazaras were killed. And the language during the reign of Amir Abdurrahman, which was it is during the reign of Abdurrahman between 1880 until 1901. That's the period where 62% of Hazaras were a genocide. And because of this king, Abdurrahman, he put a lot of embargo on Hazaras. So Hazaras, they were crushed physically, and all their leaders were taken, and many of them were killed and tortured, and their lands was confiscated. Their women were sold as slave and given to the soldiers, and 62% of Hazaras, which is by record of the what they call head clerk of Abdurrahman, written that 62% of Hazaras been genocide. So it's during 1880 until 1901 when King Abdurrahman died. Yep.
And King Abdurrahman was he a Pashto, or which group?
Yeah,
did
obviously
he belong to?
Yeah, he was a Pashtun, and then his uncle was also a leader as well. And that time was the opposite of each other, so they were in a fight, and he accused Hazaras to have supported his uncle, and that's why he thinking that he is like the sole king of Afghanistan, solo king of Afghanistan, and nobody else can compete with him. And then he done this one with the help of the British India Company at that time, when they were running an empire in subcontinents such as India, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and those regions, Central Asian countries. So yeah, he got all his supports, weapons, soldiers, training, everything with the help of British India Company, and then he start exterminating Hazaras, and their land was forcefully grabbed, and Hazaras are forcefully migrated, and their lands, their language, their culture, everything was taken. Thus, Hazaras for 100 years, it was a sin or a crime in Afghanistan to call yourself Hazara. So Hazara was, if you call Hazara, people will kill you, because he gathered all the other sect of Islam, which is Sunni Islam. So Hazaras are Shia, which is at the moment at the minority.
Yeah.
But Sunnis, he gathered all the Sunni scholars and get them to issue a decree. They said that the Hazaras are infidels and they are not true Muslims, and they're supposed to be, they must be killed, and their lands must be grabbed, and their families must be, forcefully grabbed and make a slave, and so on. So therefore, Hazaras faced this huge genocide and ethnic cleansing and persecution. And Hazaras lost their culture, their language, their cultural heritage, such as Buddhas of Bamiyan. And Hazaras lost their precious land, which there was fertile land. So now Hazaras are forced into middle part of Afghanistan, which is mainly mountainous. People just live there now just to survive.
And the Buddha of Bamiyan was destroyed during the Taliban's, wasn't it? Like recently.
Yeah, Yeah. So the Buddhas was made before the birth of Christ, and it went until the 2nd and 3rd century AD, and it was also mentioned in the book of there's a person called Hewant Song. He was one of the Buddhist missionaries. He traveled the Silk Road, which connects Bamiyan, which is capital of Hazaristan, and he traveled from China to Silk Road and then go to Bamiyan. From there, they go to India because he was following the Buddhism and tracing the roots of Buddhism and where it's flourishing. And during the 1st century, 2nd century AD, it was flourishing in that region. And therefore, he mentioned about the Hazaras, about the Buddhas of Bamiyan, the way people are living there, their facial features, and also on. So therefore, we can see in his account, which is Hewant Song, and there was subsequently another Buddhist scholar as well who went and done the same route and mentioned the Buddhas of Bamiyan. So we know the Buddhas of Bamiyan stood there just before the birth of Christ, and it goes until 2000, where the thugs and tyrants, of Taliban destroy them and demolish them. Yep.
Yeah. So after King Abdurrahman's reign, was there a more peaceful period until the Taliban's, when Hazaras could stay in like central Afghanistan, or?
Not really, no, because after Abdurrahman, his son took over the throne for 20 years or so, Habibullah Khan, and then his grandson Amanullah Khan, and then Zahir Shah. Most of them, subsequently, all those for 80 years, his family was also very rough, barbaric, and cruel to Hazaras. But having said that, his son Habibullah once, I don't know whether it's political endeavor or something, he did say that he feels sorry that his dad has done this heinous crime to Hazaras, and he wanted to sort of compensate Hazaras and give their land back. But unfortunately, in reality, it didn't happen, because most of the land was occupied by Pashtun domination, and they did not return the lands. And Hazaras still, if they were returned the lands, Hazaras weren't living in the mountainous region of Afghanistan. They would go to those fertile land of Herat, Balkh, those regions, and some of the other regions which was taken by from Hazaras. So unfortunately, those lands were lost now. During 1998, when the Russians took over Afghanistan for a brief period, that's when I was born, during time of Russian occupation, 1978. At that time, Russians governed the country for 10 years, and they are communist. They were a little bit good to Hazaras, because why? They wanted equality, they wanted equity, social justice among all the tribes of Afghanistan. But they have their own ideas, because it was ruling according to communist rule and regulations. But obviously, whoever invade the other countries, they're not going there to be their friends, but they are going there as occupying force, and they took all the resources, and they wanted to sort of wasn't there beneficial to the Afghans, but it was beneficial to the Russians.
Yeah. Are Hazaras the only Shia group in Afghanistan, or are there also other which are persecuted because of they are like Shias as well, or for some other reasons?
Yeah, we can say Hazaras are the only Shia group in Afghanistan. There is also Sayyids with their Shia, but they are considered as part of Hazaras. So living among Hazaras, they're Sayyid minority, but they are part of Hazaras, they're considered. And there is also Ismaili or Ali Khanid, Prince Aga Khan, which is in US, and they have their own dynasty and things like that, which is they're called half Shia, which is 6 imams. So they can accept 6 imams. Hazaras accept 12 imams. So they are half Shia, and they are in minority there as well, like 5%. But there's also now recently there was discovery that Hazaras, majority of Hazaras, like 10% of Afghanistan population, which is currently 34 million population of Afghanistan. Among that, like, 5 to 10% of them, they are Hazara, but they are Sunni. Up until
Okay.
now, they have hide their identity because of the persecution and genocide, and they have considered themselves Sunni, and they are Sunni, but they are Hazara.
Oh,
As
okay.
Baghlan, Parwan, those regions, and Panjshir region, which is predominantly Pashtun, Tajik dominated. However, the reason they hide their identity was of genocide, and now they come and they says yes, they are Hazara, but they are Sunni.
Yeah.
But there are Hazaras, Ismaili. Hazaras are predominantly Shia, like 90%. There's 5%, 5 to 7% Sunni, and there's 2% Ismailis, and there's 1% either atheist or maybe Christians or some other dominations,
Yeah.
denomination.
So when you were born, actually, where were you born? Which city?
Yep. Yeah, there is a central region of Afghanistan called Ghazni. During time of 7th to 10th century, the Ghazni, Jaghuri Ghazni was considered as the center of Islamic civilization. We know also about the Ghaznavid Empire, which they ran for 300 years. So they were actually from that capital where I was born. So this is called Ghazanain as well, but it's in English you call it Ghazni.
Ghazni. Okay.
Yeah. And this also a central region, central state of Afghanistan.
Yeah. So I guess the first language you learned as a kid from your parents was Hazaragi.
It's my mother tongue. So we're just my parents has a farm, and they have herds and sheep and cattle and so on. Yeah. So Hazaragi is in my mother tongue. Unfortunately, my mother, due to discrimination of Hazaras in terms of education, was illiterate.
Hmm.
My father was a scholar of, and both of them taught me the language and things like that. But there was more influence of Persian because my dad was a scholar.
Yeah.
And in there, if you want to study Islamic laws and books and want to become a scholar, you need to study in Persian and Arabic.
Mm.
So he was experienced, and he had a command of both languages, and he taught me. My basic schooling was happening at home, and yeah, so I learned Hazaragi. Hazaragi was a native. But having said that, in nowadays in schools in many places, they are taught in Dari. Dari is also similar to Farsi.
Yeah.
It's very similar in grammar and structure and everything. Basically, it's like two different names, the same like Tajikistan, Tajiki.
Yeah.
Tajiki, Dari, and Farsi. All three of them are same language.
Yeah. I actually met Hazara yesterday, and I know like people have different opinions. His opinion was that Hazaragi, Dari, Tajik, and Persian or Farsi are like dialects of Persian. But I know you have a different opinion. What do you think?
I
How
Yeah.
how much the opinions differ among Hazaras themselves?
Yeah, very much differs. Well, people who are nowadays going to schools, colleges, and universities, they are more in favor of saying Dari is the original language of Persianized. And people who are born or studied in Iran, they says no, Farsi is the mother of all this Persianized language. People born in Pakistan, Hazaras born in Pakistan, they says, well, because they studied national language, there is Urdu. Urdu is similar to Hindi,
Hmm.
but their alphabet is in Arabic.
Yeah.
They says, no, Hazaragi is freestanding. Hazaragi is separate from the Persian and from Dari. Also, some people who are have a nationalistic view in Afghanistan, they also says no, Hazaragi has its own structure. How comes, before 19th century when Hazaras were 67% of the population, how comes that they have their own kingdom, their own government? Just remember that before 1890, the kingdom of Ghazni was separate, kingdom of Kabul was separate, kingdom of Herat was separate. So all of them were separate kingdoms. And that's why the King Abdurrahman came and collected and combined them together and make them as a collective country, which is known as Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they had the kingdom and they were the autonomous government, how comes they didn't have a language?
Yeah.
So their language was Hazaragi. And just because during this century, 1.5 century, when different government came and persecution of Hazaras started and 62% of Hazaras were killed, their language and their resources, the history, the culture, everything was burned. The books, all the books were burned. We have nothing now at hand, apart from Faiz Muhammad Khatib, which was Hazara, and he was a scholar under the command of King Abdurrahman. He wrote the Chronicles of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
In that he done some justice to Hazaras, and he mentioned the genocide, the things that which was luckily translated into English and by Professor McChesney and Professor Khurrami in US. And it is now available on Amazon and everywhere. So this is Siraj al-Tawarikh, means the beacon of lights or something like that in English. So this is the authentic history of Afghanistan. And in that, the Faiz Muhammad Khatib Hazara, a scholar who mentioned everything as it is. However, he was restricted because he was at the court of King Abdurrahman, and whatever he was dictated, he must has written that, Yeah, so having said that, I have different opinion. I believe Hazaragi is an independent language. It is, however, because 1,500 years where the Persian has ruled the country and that region, most other languages has been influenced by Persian, such as Pashto, Urdu, Dari, all other languages been suppressed. Balochi, Brahui, all those languages been suppressed by Persian because they were a civilization, and they were 1,500 years, and they were very rich and fertile. But having said that, Hazaragi has its own structures, vocabularies, words, proverbs, idioms, and riddles, and things like that, and possibly grammar structures as well, because nowadays I study linguistics, and I'm doing my best to debunk all those differentiations and differences, and also putting a structure and grammar into it so it can be identified as a language. And luckily, having said that, Hazaragi is originally been considered as a language in Australia by National Accreditation Authority for Translation and Interpreting by Australian government, and also on the Ethnologue from US, which is recorded 7,500 languages. Hazaragi has been also considered as a language and has a ISO number, International Standard Organization number. So yeah, having said that, Hazaragi is freestanding on its own, which is despite being influenced by Persian, despite being influenced by Urdu, despite being influenced by Arabic. In the end, Hazaragi is Hazaragi, and it is a language, and we are working on it to make it stand. It has its own grammars, vocabularies, proverbs, all those things that I mentioned.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of what like words or structures are different in Hazaragi compared to let's say Farsi, Dari, Tajik?
Yeah. Well, Hazaragi shares like 20% Turkish words, 20%. And I believe also 20% of the Hazaragi is Mongolian words.
Oh, okay.
So it's 40%.
Yeah.
And then there is also like 10% is Arabic words. To the right mind, if it's 50% is of this words, how can that be a Persian? It cannot be a Persian, because if it's 100% part of the Persian and being an accent and dialect of Persian, then we say yes. But if he shares the Turkish, Turkic, Mongolian, Arabic, English, even Urdu, how can that be part of Farsi? It can
Yeah.
never be. Yep.
Yeah.
So whoever is claiming that, some of them, they are nuff-nuffs. They're just this big mouth, because when we talk about the language and linguistic development and historical language, it has to be somebody, an expert, a linguist. It's not every Dick, Joe, and Harry that go online and say that, oh, Hazaragi is variant of Persian. Some of them does not have any evidence, things to back it up. So it has to analyze the grammatical structure. It has to analyze the vocabularies. And luckily, we have 100,000 Hazaragi native words, which cannot be found in Persian. 100,000. We have 3 dictionaries, which is in excess of 100,000 words that you cannot find in dictionary of Persian. And if we think that language that rich, which is 100,000, cannot be found in Persian, how can that be Persian?
Yeah. Yeah.
Secondly is, as I said, the Hazaragi is influenced by Persian, but it doesn't mean that, Hazaragi is part of Persian.
Yeah.
And, in general sayings, in general terms, there says, if you know 5,000 language, 5,000 words of any language, you can consider as a sort of native speakers, or maybe as advanced speakers of their language.
Yeah.
But in terms of Hazaragi, there's 100,000 words.
That's a lot.
And
yeah.
sometimes people classed other people because they say, oh, they are minority. There's only 50 people speaking that language. But in terms of Hazaras, there is 8 to 12 million recorded. But we believe it's 16 to 18 million, even more.
Yeah.
How comes, 10 million people, they're speaking a language and they're not considered as a language. And let's say, if Balochi, there are like 2 million people, they're considered as a language.
Yeah.
Barawi, they're considered as a language. If it's on the size of the people that will speak language, which is Hazaras 8 to 12 million recorded. Yeah. So it is a language. The only thing is, having said that, there's not much scholars take an interest into Hazaragi. Reason being because Hazaras were being not only being suppressed and being discriminated against, but the scholars also taken view that they want to sort of make the origin of Hazaras a mystery. Recently, there's a book came out and says that, Jali Tarikh and Tarikh Jal Dar Afghanistan. That means the falsification and, manipulation of history of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
What that means is that, Hazaras been, always been considered or classed as outsiders, because they wanted to kick out the Hazaras from Afghanistan. Even during Taliban in 1997, one of their general, which his name is Commander Niazi, he says, Afghan can go to their Afghanistan, Tajik can go to Tajikistan, Uzbek can go to Uzbekistan, and Hazaras doesn't have a parent country. They have to go to Goristan, which means graveyard.
Oh, okay.
So what it means, they still wanted to kick out the Hazaras from Afghanistan. They take their land, their all belongings and everything, and they wanted to kick them out. That's why Hazara has been considered many times as outsiders in their homeland. There's Hazara scholars currently in Europe, which is Haji Kazim Yazdani, Hussain Ali Yazdani. And he's written 12 book on history of Hazaras. He is very renowned historians of Afghanistan. There was no other ethnicity who were that ancient in Afghanistan than the Hazaras. And he has written this academically, and he has evidence to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the Hazaras were natives and they were the original inhabitants of Afghanistan, how comes they didn't have a language? How comes that they are outsiders? How comes they are considered as a descendant of Mongols?
Yeah.
Having said that, yeah, there is evidence of Mongolid and Turkic features, I mean, the Hazaras. But the reality has never been told because they always try to make the origins of Hazaras a mystery. As in fact, they have confused most of the Hazaras and the other scholars, because this is when you make the water muddy, then you can catch a fish.
Yeah.
There is a saying in Hazaragi, "Aur gatolku wa mahi bigar." So that means that if you make water dirty, you can take fish. This way, if you confuse the population that they don't know what their origins are, and you burn all their books, then they will listen to you. Whatever you say, it goes, you
Yeah.
know. If, for example, you can also say that, oh, the same like Charles Darwin said, humans are for monkeys, well, they also say if they could tomorrow come and claim, that they are for monkeys, So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They are making a logic, so people will believe that, oh, they are outsiders. They are not belongs to Afghanistan, the Hazaras, and they shouldn't be here. That's what the moral of the story is.
Yeah. I've heard similar stories uh, from my other guests. Like there was one ethnic commie from Russia, and
Yep.
he also told how during the last 100 years the government has tried to like hide their own history, like their own like ethnic groups' history, and yeah, that I think that has happened in many places of Earth.
Yeah, this
Currently,
is something that's fact,
yeah,
as in English says, only victors write the history.
yeah,
So whoever's ruling the country, whoever's the government, they'll say whatever they want to say, and this is they
yeah,
consider as a fact.
yeah. Is the Hazara diaspora bigger, or are there still more Hazaras in Afghanistan, or does anyone know?
Yes, of course. Yep, during the Karzai government and also 2020, there was some rough census which that says that there was 25% of Afghanistan populations are Hazaras, and there are 25% Pashtun, 25% Sikh, and 25% Uzbek, with exceptional to some minorities that there were to some as well. So it means that there was not very minority majority there. They were equally divided.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, when Taliban took over recently, many of Hazaras escaped Afghanistan, fearing the persecution. Many of Hazaras been forcefully removed from their lands, but there are sizable, like 15% of population of 15, 20% is still in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
They are still there. But we're talking also about Hazara diaspora. We have sizable population in Australia. It's up to 100,000 population in Australia, Hazaras. And there is like 100,000 in European countries and US. So there's around 300,000 people currently residing in diaspora. And there is 1 to 2 million Hazaras in Pakistan. There's, according to a statistic that I saw, is over 3 million Hazaras in Iran.
Do all the Hazaras speak Hazaragi, or, for example, in Australia, are there like second generation Hazaras who don't speak the language anymore, or
Okay,
who didn't learn from their parents?
understood. That's a very good question. Reason being because when we say a language has various accents and dialogues as well. So many people, if they says Hazaragi is the dialect of Persian,
Yeah.
then how comes within the dialect there can be another dialect? Let's say if Hazaragi is dialect, then what about Hazaragi Daizingi? What about Hazaragi Yakaulingi? What about Hazaragi Koitigi? What about Hazaragi Jaguri? It can be dialect within the dialect.
Mm.
So I believe Hazaragi is overall a language. It has Jaguri dialect, Daizingi dialect, Koitigi dialect, and Kabuli dialect. Yeah, so there's 4 or 5 dialects of Hazaragi.
Yeah.
People in larger region of Daizingi, they speak Daizingi dialects. People in Jaguri areas of Afghanistan, Ghazni, where I'm from, they speak Jaguri dialects.
Mhm.
People in Quetta, they speak Koitigi dialects. Obviously, so this dialects is spoken all over the world. Depends from what region they are from, but
Yeah.
overall, and there is a statement in linguistics that says that if you travel 5 kilometers from one area to other area, the dialect changes, the language varies because different language. But in terms of Hazaragi, if people in Afghanistan and I born and raised and grown in Australia, when we speak, we understand each other.
Yeah.
Even there is 10,000 miles difference between us, Afghanistan and Australia,
Mhm.
but they understand each other. So
Yeah.
it can never be, that, if it's a dialect and then I don't understand the other Hazaras. So the Hazaragi, it doesn't matter wherever you speak, they still understand each other.
Yeah.
Okay, having said that, in Australia and some other diaspora countries, second, third generations, they have learned English, like in European countries, Finnish, Spanish, Dutch, and all other languages. Um, uh, However, there we have an endeavor. We are trying to make this so that the second and third generations or subsequent generations, they also learn Hazaragi and understands. Here in Victoria, in Australia, in general, many Hazaras learn Persian. Many Hazaras learn Dari because they think that Hazaragi is part of Persian, and if we study Persian, which is a prestige language, so we become more modernized, more civilized, and they think Hazaragi is a backward language. Reason being because nobody has worked on it. And whenever people talk in big auditoriums and big gatherings, people think it's like if you speak in Hazaragi, it feels like backward. But if we speak in Persians and Dari, it looks more elegant, and you become more of, you be considered as well educated.
Yeah.
This is only a belief, because many people, when they says you are dirty, your language is dirty, your culture is dirty, your ancestors, they were dirty because who do you think you are? You are a prime minister or president or what? You're nobody. Don't aim so high. Don't think yourself of very highly, because Hazara's ancestors were nothing. These were nothing. That were nothing. So people will underestimate themselves, and they feel ashamed of their culture. They feel ashamed of their heritage, and they feel ashamed of their language. That's one of this that I feel very proud. This is Hazaragi, and this is Hazaragi. And I speak Hazaragi day and night. I feel proud of my cultural heritage. I feel proud of my mother tongue. Yeah, despite nobody's working, I'll work on it. I know a lot of other people that they're willing to work on it. So we cannot discount that if nobody has worked on the language, it must not be a language, because it has all the elements on it. As you know, there's over 2,500 or 3,000 words in this booklet.
Yeah.
And I've completed all in Hazaragi. If it was not a language, then we could not say that it has the potentials to be a language. So this seems like the last pages of the book.
Okay,
And
great.
it's completed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the reason I gave that example is that if it's only a dialect is very limited in its capacity to translate and come up with the words and things like that. But if it is a language, then we know that it is very rich. Only thing is that you need to explore it further.
Yeah. I think it's good to mention here the book that you have showed. So in this book, there are only English words. I actually created this book, and John found me through this book. He bought the book and contacted me like 1-2 months after buying the book, which you have used while teaching the language. So.
Yep.
So the contents are in English, and you have to fill in the blanks inside the book. Like there are 2,500 words, phrases, and you fill in the blanks in your target language. And in this case, it's Hazaragi, and I have like 600 different covers because I thought it would be a good resource for many different languages, which might not have any resources. And now with John, we are actually going to create the version which has everything from English to Hazaragi. And we have used the fill in the blanks version as a template for it.
Yeah, fantastic.
What
other questions do you have?
Oh
I know
yeah,
that
yeah.
you're a man of multi-language.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I have learned 2-3 years a bit of Persian, like from Iran, Farsi, with my friend. So I was thinking of uh, if I could say some sentences I remember in Farsi, you can then tell us how to say it in Hazaragi.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Um, just for the viewers that you know that I have commands on several languages, Farsi, Arabic, Hazaragi, English, and some other languages as well. So maybe I will translate it ad hoc, but I may not be, So
Yeah,
that's fine. Yep.
yeah. Okay, so first would be probably salam, so hi.
We say Mandanashi.
Mandanashi.
Yep.
Okay. Um, Name man Christian است.
Ma Krishan Astum.
Ma Christian astum.
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 Yep.
Astum. Okay.
Yep.
So my name is Christian. نام تو نام شما چیست؟
We have two words. When we're speaking to children or underage, we say tu.
Yeah,
And
like
when we speak to adult or we more respectful, we say shmo.
shmo. Okay.
Nami tu chizasta.
Name to
And
chi.
nami shmo chizasta.
What was the ending? Chi. Name to.
Sorry, your network become a
Yeah,
little bit weak.
yeah. So name
So
to
yeah, we say
chi
nami tu chizasta.
kizasta.
Yes, very
Okay.
good.
Or name
We speak
shmu.
to, yeah, when we speak to adult and we
Yeah.
are more polite, we say nami shmo chizasta.
Oh, okay. Namesh. Yeah, it's a bit hard. Yeah,
Shimo. That's fine.
yeah,
Anyway, yep.
yeah. What about um like numbers? Yek, do, se, chahar, panj.
Yep. We in the general terms, because Hazara is more personalized, we say yak do say char panch, which is similar to Farsi. However,
Mhm.
in the past, Hazaras were saying different words.
Oh, okay.
In the past, is ancient. If you think about the ancient, then we have a book. I've created a book,
Yeah,
this book, and this talks about the alpha 1, 2, 3.
yeah.
So I'm sure you can't read it, but I'll read it for you. So
Lakali, lakli, number one. Ak, akli. Is it akli?
aklai, aklai.
Aklari, Doklari,
Yep, Duklai,
Chadu,
Chadu, well done.
Chado, Chamdor,
Chambar,
Chambar, B, yeah, Chambar, Bidu,
Chambar,
five, B is B,
Bedu,
Bedu, six,
yep,
Ambar, is it Ambar?
Ambar,
Ambar,
yes,
seven, Alqa, Alqa,
Alqa, well done.
Alqa, eight, Zanjir,
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 it means
nine.
the same like hooks, the same like chain. You see, it is
Oh,
like
okay, yeah.
Zanjir,
Nine, Kama,
Kama.
Kama, 10, Kata.
Well done.
Yeah,
You've learned the Hazaragi from 1 to 10. So
it's very different.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Aklai, Tuklai, Chadu, Chambar, Bedu, Ambar, Alqa, Zanjir, Kama, Kata.
Oh wow. When did it change to the more
Uh,
Persianized version?
so this is very ancient. This is like
Yeah.
during time of um, the empire that made the Buddhas of Bamyan.
Yeah.
You see, centuries old,
Yeah.
and that's why
Okay.
also been recorded in. They have their own calendars as well. I have a calendar here in front of me as well.
Yeah.
So it has calendar, it has the vocabularies, it has everything there. So
Oh
this book
wow.
is up. I'll give you a link so you can share it, put it under your
Yeah, I
video.
will include all John's link here
Yeah,
in the
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about the language, as I said, that is when we do our research, we can know the ancientness of the language. So this one, the one you read, is possibly like 1,500 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And we have some words like eteta, otota, enena, onona. These words you
Yeah.
can never find in any Persianized dictionary, such as
Yeah.
Tajiki, Farsi, Dari, Urdu, none. Arabic, none. You can't find it.
Yeah.
Eteta, otota is purely Hazaragi, and only Hazaras knows that.
What do they
And
mean?
there are many examples like this
Okay.
that is very ancient Hazaragi, and Hazaras understand it if if they are Hazara. And
Yeah.
then if you talk to the Persians, they will scratch their head, they say,
Yeah.
what are those,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. I was going through a bit the Excel file where you have
Yes.
submitted the
Mm.
translations for the Ultimate Hazaragi notebook, and I was
Yeah.
watching that. Yeah, some I could recognize, but some were I was like, okay, this doesn't sound at all like in
Persian.
Persian, and some were
Yeah.
a bit similar to like I've studied a bit Turkish, so like please in Turkish is lütfen in
Yeah.
Hazaragi, it was something
Yeah.
similar. Lütfen, or what was it?
Because it's Persian words, so it's also spoken in Persian and also in Turkish and so on. Yeah, but Hazaras is, as I think we are at the moment that we are finding the Turkish words, and I've
Yeah,
also have articles on. I've distinguished the Hazaragi word, 300 Hazaragi Turkish words from Hazaras.
yeah.
So I can send you that link as well.
Oh, okay. And the Turkic words in Hazaragi, is it mostly from Uzbek, which is the closest
Not really. No, no,
Turkic
no,
language? No.
no. It's taken from ancient Turkey,
Oh,
because
ancient.
yeah,
Yeah,
the father of Turk empire and dynasty, they're known as Ughuz Khan.
yeah.
So the Ughuz with his 7 children, they were uh, they were ruling the country known as Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and the region where I'm from, they call the Ghazni. He was
Mm.
ruling there.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
for like 500 years.
So the ancient Oghuz language, like this.
Ughuz.
Oh, yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard about it. Yeah. So,
Yeah, so the forefather of modern day Turkey
yeah.
is Ughuz Khan.
Okay.
And the Ughuz Khan was with his 7 children were ruling Ghazni.
Yeah.
And then Hazaras many people believe that Hazaras are Turkic.
Mm.
And that's why we call the Uzbeks our relatives, like in our cousins, Bola. We call it Bola ya Bolai.
Okay, yeah.
So it means like, um, mom and sisters or husband, Uzbeks are our relatives.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why I know Uzbeks are Turkic people, but
Hmm.
Hazaras, because they have manipulated it, they think Hazaras are Mongols. But initially, the Mongols and Turkics, they are the same people.
Yeah.
And that's why the Oghuz Khan, we believe, were the part of Hazaras, and Hazaras are part of them.
Okay.
And the words that they have derived, like, the human body parts, human anatomy, they are all human anatomy. There's most of them are like Turkic words, and
Yeah.
there's biology, Turkic words, and many more things.
Yeah. Did the hat and your traditional shirt or vest have a name in Hazaragi? Because here
Yes,
in Finland we have the indigenous Sami people, and they have like different names for their clothes.
yes. We have several names. I've got a book as well, which I've completed and is going to be launched very soon. This one is known as Kap Tumar.
Kaptumar.
Can you say it? Kap Tumar.
Kaptumar.
Yep. If this is not Persian, because that's why you don't understand. Kap means folding,
Oh, okay.
and Tumar means something holy.
Yeah.
So holy, something very religious,
Yeah.
faithful, holy, So Kap Tumar means something initially that was made to keep the scar items such as rosary, such as the mud that we pray our forehead on. We
Yeah.
call it more. And Holy Quran also, we also put it into this. So this
Yeah.
has been known as Kaptumar. And many Hazaragi embroideries and handicraft and motifs, they have different names such as Khamakdozi, Duruya, and Tarisab, um, Bakhia, Bakhia Dozi. So
Mhm.
they're all, this ones has different names, and the origins that I was looking for past 10 years, I found many of the origins in Turkish embroideries.
Yeah.
I've researched all the embroideries of the world,
Yeah.
many embroideries
Okay.
there's in Pakistan, in Central Asian countries, Uzbeks, Tajiks, I couldn't find it. Even in Mongolia, couldn't find it. But most of them have been found in Turkish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the patterns in your vest and hat, do they show like where you're from or anything like that?
No, this one's because we say some of them is like a hook. So we
Yeah.
says Changaki. If you
Yeah.
say Changaki to a Persian person, they won't understand what
Hmm.
Changaki means. But we understand because Changaki means the hook.
Yeah.
Most of this hook is very similar patterns to Turkish. That's why we know, because this one has inside, it hides all its origins, where they came from.
Yeah.
And when you dig down deep, you'll be able to find it that it is Turkish pattern. And I've observed it and seen it when I was doing a research in many of the ancient movies that was made in Turkish.
Yeah. Are there
And
some?
also
Yeah.
Central Asian Turks as well.
What do you think? What are like typically important things in the Hazara culture?
What do you mean in that question?
Like for example, in Finland, for Finnish culture, sauna is something really important to us. The nature, like some traditions or important things in your culture.
Yep. Well, the important thing is that, first of all, that Hazaras are very committed to their faith. So they are very religious people, mostly like over 90% Shia. So when they're Shiaism, then they have deep faith to family of Prophet Muhammad. So we call it Ahl Bayt. So the Prophet of Muhammad is quite important. And also one of his cousins, Prophet Muhammad's cousins, his name is Ali. And he was very brave, courageous person. He's been always been considered as one of the true bright example of how a person should live. And also his Prophet Muhammad's grandson, his name is Hussain. During the time in Karbala, which is in Iraq, he given his life with 72 other disciples to talk about justice. So we are very strong on justice, because injustice, as Martin Luther King says, injustice is threat to justice everywhere, So they are very strong on justice, commitment on justice, because they think that grandson of Prophet Muhammad, his name was Hassan Hussain, we have 12 disciples, which is was the Imam. They are very important. So yes, Hazaras are pious and religious people, and they have very faithful, so they commit to Shiaism. So this is one of the very important things. And second thing is that Hazaras are good with storytelling. They are good with singing and dambra, two-string guitar. It's known as dambra. They love that. In fact, we have kept that for 3,000 years. So it has 3,000 years history. It started in Central Asia, which is Hazaras are part of the Central Asian descendants. And Hazaras still use it till this day, even in Australia and everywhere around the world with the music. So initially it started with one string, then they've added up another strings. So now it can play all those 7 tunes. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So all those 7 tunes can be played in this string, this 2 string. Yeah. This is one of the very central pillars. So when Hazaras become tired and they become exhausted, they play this. Or also Hazaras, if you see some of my videos, they will put the hands here and they call Daidu, or we also call Bolbi. So this is also like a yodeling. Bulbuli kasba dartu dadam hai, khane tu sarira dartu dadam hai. So this is one of the Bolbi or riddles that we Hazaras are very famous for. It doesn't require a tune or music, but Hazaras can also go head to head with each other and compete with the poem saying. Writing poems. So those 3 things are central pillars to Hazaras that Hazaras very fond of.
Let's have still
and
if you
lastly to mention the embroidery, as it's our 2,000 years ancient, and they are still kept it with on its original form. So those 4 things, I believe that they are central pillars to Hazara life anyway.
So I wanted to ask, when you arrived to Australia, so you spoke Hazaragi, Persian, Arabic, right? Or did you speak in English at the time?
Initially, no. I was very limited. I says hello, hi, but nobody understands, because when you say people wouldn't understand, Despite saying English, but people don't understand, So,
And Arabic, did you very conversational or?
Arabic is the language of instruction only. So what I mean is that language of Holy Quran. So many Hazaras are very committed to Holy Quran. So that's why over 90% of Hazaras, despite they're illiterate, they will still learn the Holy Quran. So this has been one of central pillars that Hazaras, many of them knows by heart. Some of them has memorized the whole Quran, which is 30 chapters, 118, juz. There's 365, sort of surahs. All of them been memorized in the mind. So he said this surah, they will start reciting. And some of them reciting so poetically that, then you want to keep listening, It says, okay, recite again.
Isn't there a name for a person who has memorized the Quran? What's the
Yes.
name? I think there's a like title for it.
Yep, in Arab, in Turkish, no, in Farsi and like in Arabic and those languages, they say Hafiz.
Hafiz, yes, yes. I have heard this term. Yeah.
Yeah, Hafiz is somebody who memorizes it.
Yeah.
And having said that, there's another mystic poet in Iran. His name is also Hafiz,
Hmm.
and he has his own chronicles this big. Um, he's been also considered uh, one of the central pillars in Persian literature, that he talks about Fali Hafiz. In this, when you open the leaf, they will talk about your fortunes, the same like palm reading.
Yeah.
So they talks about Fali Hafiz. So just not to confuse this Hafiz with that Hafiz.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I might have heard about him.
But in Afghanistan, yeah.
He's the one who lived like 1,000 years ago when the present day Turkey was like under Arabic influence, but then he used Persian in his literature, or was it Rumi or someone else? Maybe I
That
confuse
was
him.
Rumi.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, Rumi actually born in Afghanistan
Mm,
in a province called Balkh province.
yeah,
They believe the Balkh was in English they call it bacteria.
yeah,
Bacteria was in Afghanistan also called Bakhtar.
yeah.
Balkh Bakhtar. It's also being considered as a center of Islamic civilizations 10 centuries ago. And Hazaras believed to be the inhabitants of that region. And we believe that Rumi, Maulana Jalaluddin Balkhi Rumi, was also born there,
Yeah.
and he was one of the assets. Then later on, the Persian claims that, oh, he was ours because he
Mm,
speaks Persian.
yeah, yeah.
And he traveled to Turkey, and now his tombs are in Turkey.
I have been there actually. I
Oh,
think
you've
it
been
was
to
in Konya. I was at his
Konya,
like
yep.
mausoleum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mausoleum is in Konya. We call it Konya, and in
yeah.
English it's Konya. Yep. Yeah. So, yep. So, and also Hafiz is known among the Hazaras and also Dari in Afghanistan, Qari,
Qari.
because when somebody
Yeah,
when we read the book in beautiful ways like poetic ways, we say qiraat. Qiraat.
yeah.
Qiraat is Arabic words, qiraat,
Is it to
but
read?
among the qiraat means like reciting.
Reciting. Yeah.
Yep. So that's why we say qari, somebody who qiraat.
Okay. Yeah,
Because in Persianized, we says, it says hifz, somebody who saves something in their brain.
yeah,
And somebody who knows the whole book, there says hafiz, because hafiz is the plural of hifz.
yeah, yeah,
Qari and qiraat is the same, qiraat.
yeah. Do you have anything else about the Hazaragi language, Hazaras, that we didn't mention this far?
How long do you have?
Yeah, we can still talk if you have something to
No,
tell.
I'm kidding.
So
I
yeah,
just says, I have whole nights to speak about it,
yeah.
and I have hundreds of literature that I can share with you.
No, no, we can definitely continue if you have
So,
more to talk about.
yeah, so nowadays I'm working on the sort of the human anatomies. I've created several of these things,
Yeah.
and making um, posters and giving them away, and possibly making resources for the medical field, so it's easy for them to communicate with others and things like that.
Mhm.
So yep, here in Australia, the government has funded these two projects. Can you read this one?
Yeah. Uh, Toli,
Yeah.
Shuhi.
Yep. And do you understand, because you study Persian? So do you understand that?
Holy, is it long?
And the other ones?
Shuhi. Is it rabbit because the cheeky rabbit? I don't actually know, but from the
Yeah,
English
sure.
title, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So if you're Persian speakers and if you know that the Hazaragi and Persian is the same, you should be able to fluently understand this, without, if I have removed the, English things,
Yeah.
you should be understanding, because if many people claim this Persian,
Okay.
so you are students of Persian and you studied Persian, you should be able to understand.
I'm a beginner, so I don't. I can
Whatever,
read
whatever.
it, but what does it mean?
I'm just giving as an example.
Yeah.
So taulai, because
Taulai.
there's this mark.
Okay.
If there wasn't this mark, we said tauli.
Yeah.
If there's this mark, we said taulai,
Taulai. Okay.
which means rabbit.
Oh, rabbit. Okay.
Shokhai. If it was not here, we say shokhi, which means a joke.
Okay. Yeah.
If this thing is here, we say shokhai, which
Shohai.
means cheeky.
Cheeky. Okay.
Shokhai means cheeky. A naughty or cheeky,
Yeah.
Because naughty is negative and cheeky is like friendly, so that's
Yeah.
why we say shokhai. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, this is a cheeky rabbit. That's why I say wear the headscarf and like hat, and he was very naughty.
Yeah.
And see, tulip flowers, because most of Hazaristan, they are big fond of tulip flowers.
Oh, okay.
Yep, it's like, in Dutch also they have this
Yep.
tulip,
Tulips,
national
yeah.
flower. Yep. So this is actually government funded in Australia, and I've helped to create this. And this is talking about the authentic Hazaragi story about a cheeky rabbit who wanted more in life,
Yeah.
who was never satisfied. It was never enough for them to live in the.
Yeah. Okay.
So in
Sounds
this
interesting.
in this I can see myself in this rabbit, because
Yeah.
when I travel the ocean blue, seeking asylum and refuge, here in Australia. So my horizon was expanded.
Yeah.
My vision was increased. My capability was, 100-folded. And I can do more, there's many more things like as in the beginnings, when I came here, I was a teenager, like 17. My language was not even completed.
Yeah.
I had many of those deep questions. What is the meaning of life? Where we came from?
Yeah.
The origin of Hazaras. Where we're gonna go once we leave this earth?
Yeah.
Why we exist? Why we live here?
Have you found any answers
Most
in
of them,
Australia?
yes.
Yeah.
Not in Australia, within myself.
Yeah, but during your
Recently,
time in Australia. Yeah.
yes, during time in Australia, because it's not in Australia, it's
Yeah.
within the brands,
Yeah.
within the brands. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been researching 10 years on that, and I've found the answers to most of those riddling questions. Because my father was just disappeared after 2000. We think he's been killed.
Yeah.
We don't know where about he is. So yeah, I've sort of lived orphan life, and grew up here. Like 17 years I lived back home and 25 years here. So this was the years of discovery for me to find these deep fundamental philosophical questions, the answers, complete in my language, Hazaragi, because the more I speak, the more I interact with other peoples. We come to realizations, our language become rich and we use. And luckily I've created 24 books in Hazaragi now.
Yeah.
Because this resource is the one I show you before, this resource, this one, about a story that I've created about the science in Hazaragi.
Yeah.
It's like 50 pages book. This one's about my mother told me she is a Hazaragi story from 50 years ago that my mother told me. I've discovered here. There is what is the benefits of reading at home and teaching their kids at home, because I had no schoolings, but my parents taught me at home. And now I be able to reckon many things. And this is the story I talked about my sister, and she is very curious about the stars and discovery of solar system, which is also found in your book. And we are at the moment grappling with that, because in Hazaragi there wasn't any words for that. There was few words. Even Persians, they are struggling because they put an English name like
For the planets, or
planetary system. This one's about how to be careful when you're crossing the road. And there are dozens of other books that I've created.
Have you created all of them alone, or are there like other active members of the Hazara
I've
community?
created alone. Yep, 30 books I've created along, and I'm gonna send you the link. They can put under your video.
Sure. Yeah.
30 books. I've taken notes as well, so I can send you those links.
Sure.
And so also working on the other project, which is this is the language tool. There's one of them, and there is another one which is talking about how Hazaragi works, the grammars. So of creating that. So those things are the and there are many resources that's available, like sketches of Hazara phonology.
Wow.
And also we're talking about basic sketches of Hazaragi grammar. So there are several things that at the moment I'm researching, analyzing, synthesizing, and coming up with the sets of grammatical or linguistic solutions to them, because it is quite challenging, because nobody has worked on it. So
is it now only you, like, working on many of those
questions?
No,
luckily we have formed a group as well. I don't know whether we can share a screen here, but I have a lot of things that I've lined up in the. Can we share a screen?
Let me try.
I can if I press the share screen. Yep.
Yeah, you can do it.
It's been disabled at the moment by host, but you can, if you enable it, then I can share those things with you.
I cannot find the button now. Yeah, maybe we'll do it
underneath. Anyway, we'll do it later. That's fine. So there's another also a book which called Buzicini. Ausanai Buzicini. So this is about the Chinese goats, which is folklore stories, which was from hundreds of years ago, and it's like now spread to many cultures in Afghanistan. So we've formed a group that's currently stands as 40 people in that group.
It's a big group. All Hazaras in Australia or around the world?
No, around the world, diaspora. And in this group, most of the people are linguists. So they are researchers, they are authors, they are analyzers, they are putting articles, and they are journalists. So we are working on this to make it international. So most countries, they talk about this. And this is sort of also one of the authority on the language, because many people try to manipulate Hazaragi as well. And they're making all sorts of absurd and outlandish statements that Hazaragi is variant of Persian, variant of Arabic, variant of Urdu, variant of whatever, And this, that, head, tell, this, that, We try to stop on it, because there is an authority at the moment who is we are soon going to register it, and it's going to talk about on the future of Hazaragi language, because not everybody's business that everybody is coming and having a yap on Hazaragi, because at the moment there was a central figure, no central authority that can commence and analyze and give the view to government and consult with the many governments around the world. So we are at the process of that. There's also, luckily, we're trying to register a language here in Australia, because Hazaragi language, there are 10 Farsi language, there are 10 Dari language, there is none Hazaragi. because many people try to underestimate Hazaragi. They try to discriminate against Hazaragi here as well. In Australia, it's very advanced and rich. There is over 350 languages spoken in Australia. There are over 350, 400 nationalities living in Australia. There are ethnicities living in Australia, and there are religions, over 50 religions coexist in Australia together. So in case Australia is a very rich and diverse country, very multicultural.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about the issue of interculturalism in Australia. So among this diversity, we are so glad and blessed, that Hazaragi is considered as a language here. And there are some professors who is currently, some of them Hazara, some of them non-Hazaras, who are also part of us. And they are working on the language to make some sense of it, So the government and the media and the other organization understand as well.
Currently, does Hazaragi have a standardized way to Romanize, to like transliterate the language, or not?
Okay, your book is in Romanized form at the moment.
Yeah.
So we are working on that to make it a standardized Romanized alphabet. So far, Hazaragi was using Arabic orthography, Arabic alphabet, or Persian alphabet, or Urdu alphabet.
Yeah.
Persian is limited because Persian does not have some of all the elements. Even Urdu keyboards and alphabet is more closer because you can pronounce most of the words of Hazaragi. But we are also in process of making a Romanized alphabet, so everybody can type as standard Roman alphabet of Hazaragi. So your book is the first ever book that coming in the Romanized form.
Yeah.
And the reason is that because we want this book for Hazaras and non-Hazaras who's learning Hazaragi to learn and understand Hazaragi in the Roman form, that they are doesn't understand Arabic alphabet.
Yeah.
Most of the children born in second, third generations, many of them may not understand Arabic, but they understand English or maybe one of the Germanic language. They'll be able to easily pick up the language and learn it. Yeah,
with the Latin alphabet.
That's right. But having said that, as you put another column, so we are also putting the Arabic alphabet as well.
Yeah,
so
I think it's good because then Hazaras can learn English also with the same.
Yes. So it can be used like vice versa,
Yeah. We can also just switch the cover for Hazaras learning English.
Yep. That's a good idea. Yeah, that can be done as well.
Yeah. Okay, John, I think I asked everything I wanted. Do you have any final question to me or final things to tell the audience? Obviously, there's a lot coming for the Hazara language, like contents and different projects in the future. But do you have any final words for our listeners?
Yeah, first of all, I'm grateful to you that you have done the first steps of formalizing the book, which is great, and it can be great resources in the future because this will solve a big problem of English or non-Hazara speakers can learn Hazaragi. Also, second thing is that the Hazaras who learn English, it'll be useful for them as well. And you put the flags of Hazaristan, which is at the moment we are part of the Hazaristan system, which they talks about stateless nation, which also has its own government, which is parliament, which has identity card system. It has its own citizenship rights. It has, in fact, it is going to become a government, but without a state. It's going to be registered with the United Nations and also be as a regular state. So they also adopted this flag. This flag means on top of blue because in Afghanistan, during the It has two meanings. First of all, is like it's now a part of the Turkic heritage. Second thing is that when it's snowing in Afghanistan during time of extended winter, which is runs like 6-7 months, only thing you can see is blue.
Mm.
Blue is also part of the we call the Bandi Amir, which is a tourist attraction area, a blue lake in Bamiyan region.
Okay.
This also World Heritage listed. So that's why we have the color blue here.
Yeah.
The white is that Hazaristan been always covered in snow in winters. And it's like long winters, between 5 to 7, 8 months of winter. And everything is white. And second thing about white is that Hazara is peaceful nation, so they don't want to fight. They wanted to live in coexistence with the other ethnicities. And that thing is that whether we say it or not, because Hazara is part of the yellow race. And we know that, in West and Europe, that humans or sapiens and been divided, Homo sapiens been divided into different colors. So white, red, yellow,
Yeah.
black, whatever you call it, or
Yeah.
brown people, Yep. So yeah, this is gonna be a great resources, and I have done the number 20 last night.
Okay.
Maybe I
Great.
think maximum within a month, I think we can make it live, so people can purchase it.
Yeah.
People can read it, learn it, and make a better use of it.
Yeah.
So that was one of the key things that I wanted to say. But however, having said that, as I'm studying linguistics and sociolinguistics, and we are just grappling with all these materials, it is have a great progress because we have established a reference group which is universal or international, and Hazara intellectuals from all over the world is part of that group. And also we in the process of registering Hazaragi Radio, Hazaragi Language School, and we also have some students at the moment. Currently, we are teaching Hazaragi, and there's also discussions with the governments, with the other organizations, and part of the e-Hazaristan that we want to formulate and put it on the website so everybody can have access.
Yeah.
There is also good news that more than 100,000 of Hazaragi words has been compiled in 3 dictionaries. So we try to make it one, so there can be 100,000 words, which is purely Hazaragi and can't be found in Farsi, Dari, Urdu, Arabic, or any other language. Since we have initiated our groups and discussions, there is for past 3 years or 4 years, there is 10 major websites that came out and says that Hazaragi is not accent or variant of any language, but it is on its own a language.
Yeah.
So these are the progress so far, which I wanted to share with your audience. I know there's a lot of questions. I know there's a lot of criticisms. I am a student. I don't have all the answers, but I am willing to go an extra mile to make a lasting contributions, and perhaps this be my legacy because as I said, that why we are born, what's the purpose, why we exist,
Yeah.
Some of my answers has led me here as we speak.
Yeah,
So
mine actually too, because like language learning and also sharing my passion with the world, and also like providing the language materials for other people as well, like by my products, and in the future by digital products also, which I'm going to create. And I would have never guessed that the first
fantastic.
cooperation would be with someone who speaks Hazaragi and creating like this vocabulary book for Hazaragi. It's surprising, but I'm really happy you found me, and also about the project that we are doing now, which is just a start. So yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I actually met my wife through this project as well. Like
Fantastic.
Yeah, so and now we have a son. So I actually got my family through this
Hey,
project that
how
is
cool is
that I
that?
consider my legacy. And
Fantastic. That's
yeah.
fantastic. I really admire and appreciate your work, which is that without discriminations, you have started, putting all those languages. There's some of the languages that have been discriminated for centuries.
Yeah.
You put a name to it, and this is a great start, because it goes a long way. And of course, yeah, as you discovered your legacy and you met
Mhm.
your lovely wife, and I saw the video that you talk about Finland and Finnish country. I've seen the whole lot that video. It was very fascinating.
Which one was it? The Finnish walkthrough video, like where we use these my products to teach Finnish. Was it those?
Yes,
Or
that one that he
yeah,
had a kind of a words document, and this one listed all those things about Finnish language and some of the
yeah.
vocabularies.
Oh yeah, that
It
was
was very,
probably
I really love that video. Yep.
so that was the first one. I think you saw the like first episode, which was like giving the alphabet like for the fill in the blanks notebook and also some extra stuff. So this is actually part of my playlist where I will go like one by one or every
Mm.
chapter from the book and
I
explain all
think,
the words.
yeah, is that the one that you talk about the Finland, where we are from, where your ancestors were from, and also that you bicycling around
Yeah,
alongside
yeah,
of
yeah. That was yeah the
your
first
wife,
one. Yeah,
with your
the
wife. And that
yeah.
was one of the best videos that I've seen in your compile of the
Yeah,
videos.
yeah.
I,
I base it to my notebook. So not so this is second chapter where we go chapter number one. I talk. I give the answers to the like empty spaces, but I also tell about the culture. Like if the
Mhm.
topic is greetings, I tell like what's the normal way of meeting
Mm.
people in Finland and all the different like
Yes, and that
habit
one.
like yeah, the cultural
Yep.
aspects as well.
Yes. I must say that it was very detailed, and I'm a detailed oriented person myself. I
Yeah,
really love that one because you're given so much information, and you are a very honest person because you did not hide anything there. It says where your ancestors were from, your grandma was living
yeah,
there, and you were living there before.
yeah,
Then you moved to this place, and you moved to that place. And also that you bicycling from one side of the Finland to the other end, to the
yeah, yeah.
long end, and you
Hmm.
came back, and that was really, really great,
Yeah,
because
because I think
professional.
if a person starts learning a language, just telling the alphabet is not enough. I wanted to give like all the extra stuff, like telling the basic things about the like geography, about like my own like background related to Finland, like where I've lived and showing on the map. I think that
Yes,
makes it
yeah,
a bit
I really
more
love that one.
interesting.
That was
Yeah.
very enlightening for me, enlightening.
Okay, I'm really glad. I would have not expected that someone who's not like learning Finnish would watch the whole video because
No,
it's a
I did
long
not
video.
understand
Yeah,
one word of Finnish. I did not learn one word of Finnish,
yeah,
but I have general information, this touristic information that one day
yeah,
I would like to visit Finland, and
yeah.
I wanted to know about those places that you mentioned. I wanted to see, what's the Finland is about, and
Hmm.
that you says, I discovered about you. You talk about your passion of cycling from one side to the other side, or
Yeah.
maybe running. It was cycling or running, but you say cycling.
I did both, walking and cycling both.
Yeah, it was really great because I don't know how many kilometers, like 2,000 or 4,000 kilometers that you go on back,
1,500. Yeah,
1,500.
yeah.
That's big milestone. Congratulations. Because
Thank you.
it's not easy
Thank
thing.
you.
I think it's, I
Yeah.
think it's very challenging, and I really, admire and appreciate, your work on that
Yeah, maybe
because
at some point, if I mean, if you have time, we can do something similar also in
after, yeah,
Hazaragi, so
yeah,
people will like get answers for their like notebook, and they also hear the cultural aspects of like every 60 plus topics. But
your
you're
mind reader. There
what?
was a second project that
Yeah,
I wanted to tell you, but I wanted to hide it until
yeah,
now. I says, let's finish the first project first.
yeah.
And then once done, then we can go all those 60, 70 domains step by step.
Yeah.
So people know Hazaragi and they know the words, they know the history behind the words, because when you mention a word is not a word because it has a history behind it.
Yeah.
So we could go explore all those domains.
Yeah, and for example, like I mentioned some things in the first episode, like my trips around Finland. So when I talk more about chapter 11 or 12, like nature, I will show pictures also, like showing pictures and maybe where I've been, and then like explain the vocabulary, the grammar, cultural aspects, and I'm happy that you also had the same idea that when we complete the Hazaragi book, then we will like maybe we could record similar videos for Hazaragi.
We can do that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said many projects coming. So I didn't mention it. I said let's complete the first one, and then we can jump on third and fourth and so on.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I think I'm going to sleep now. It's half past.
I know it must be very late now. We spoke for an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
To keep you awake for that long.
No, it was my pleasure staying awake. I usually stay awake until maybe 1 or 2 o'clock normally as well. But yeah, thanks for the conversation, and thanks for everyone who was listening. And yeah, John, we will be in contact in the coming days and weeks. So thank you, everyone, and see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.